Hi, come along with us as we go check out a tank collection in Wichita, Kansas.
And then find some tasty juice afterwards.
See you with the tanks.
At the tank!
I am curious how interactive they will let us get with the tanks.
Yeah, see, like, that's what I think of when I think of World War I tank. When I said they could, move a World War I tank into the lobby, I wasn't.
Get that through the door.
The entire World War I tank is an engine. This is an engine. It was bigger than the entire World War I tank.
But literally, they could put that thing in the lobby.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, they could just like make the door a little bigger and drive it in. It wouldn't be a big deal.
Little baby tank.
See, this was absolutely brilliant for anti-personnel warfare.
Yeah.
Imagine trying to approach a trench with this.
Yeah, you could just drive on up.
Only this looks like a scale model.
Yep.
Pretty sure this is a scale model. The concept of having an armored vehicle that
existed for a very long time.
Battering rams were often armored.
Yeah. Yeah, the important things, the canteen.
Well, if you're driving around in the summer in one of those, your canteen would be important. They didn't fight in Britain. Every time you have a conflict, they keep moving south.
Rear engine and a 360-degree rotational turret.
Yep.
Oh, the
With
British had some of the most brilliant, I don't remember what the guy's name was, but they called him his, whatever the guy's name was, funnies. And he attached the strangest things to tanks. It was a World War II thing.
This is a year's collection complete with matching shovel. Never raid a trench without one.
Well, that's the 5 of hearts. This is the something of clubs.
Yeah.
What's the 5? Where's the 5?
The one on the poster, on the wall behind your head. There you go.
Ah. I'm not surprised that they used playing cards.
It's a very, very pop. Can you imagine facing off against one of these? Can you imagine hiding on the side of the road in the bushes and throwing anti-tank mines like frisbees to take something like that out?
Kinda, yeah. But I'm an adrenaline junkie and I know it.
I don't know if it was. There were guys who threw landmines like frisbees under these things.
This is not a tank.
Is it an APV?
I bet it's some it was intended to be anti-aircraft.
I'm gonna bet that was AA.
Yep.
I mean, look at
With
these
those
big old guns.
I'm gonna guess the guys throwing the frisbees didn't care.
Why not?
They'd have a big gun, they'd go boom. I make it go boom.
That's the idea, because the only place they didn't have serious armor was on the bottom and a little bit on the back. Interesting bit of information. Notice the casting on this.
Okay.
This is a Russian tank.
Yeah.
Compare the casting and how rough and dirty this is to any of the German tanks.
Yeah.
The German tanks looked nice.
The Germans built masterpieces of engineering.
The Soviets threw out volume, and they look like that.
But there were enough of them.
They were still better than the American tanks.
Oh,
It's
Hello
a rifled,
inside the tank.
Yeah, that's a rifled barrel.
I have friends who can do better metalwork than that.
Yes.
You have talented friends.
Fair.
But it is just an interesting, it's not, I mean, pretty is as pretty does, it's a tank. But
These suture lines, I'm using the two terms.
Uh-huh.
Were the suture lines then weaknesses? Like if you got enough?
not because you're starting to see angled, armor is most effective when it's angled. You don't see a lot of flat fronts. the thing behind you. Because they didn't work.
It's also why you have a whole bunch of tanks that were attacked from below.
Below and behind. Well, they don't put as much armor on those places. You have to sacrifice armor someplace.
Do you want to go this way before we go that way?
That's a German tiger.
Yeah.
That, I've read about them. I've never seen one in person. This is what they were taking out with frisbees.
Yeah, that takes some balls. Not gonna lie.
The American tank in World War II could take out a tiger. Do you know how they did it?
Nope.
Okay, there are two ways. Notice how long the barrel is compared to the width of the tank. Imagine you're in some little bitty village in Europe, and the buildings are about that far apart. And the American tank comes up behind the Tiger tank. What's that guy gonna do with his gun?
Squeal.
Wish really hard he had more space.
And this is a Sherman.
And this is a fantastic anti-personnel tank. This would have been devastating in World War I. There was not a more impressive tank built.
Speaking of mass-produced
In World War I.
tanks, I believe the Sherman was the one that had the failure rate where you would get out onto the field, get it set up, and try to turn it on, and one out of every so many just wouldn't turn on. You'd have a dud tank.
This tank could take out that tank from behind as long as this tank can't turn its turret around. There was one other, and I believe it was the town of Bastogne during the Battle of the Bulge that you saw. Do you know where the lightest armored place on a Tiger is?
No.
The underside.
Mm.
They set up really, really, really
Oh, yeah,
tall
I heard about
embankments. And as they came up, before they crested, they'd shoot them with these. And they could kill them from the underside. And man, I wish my dad was still around. Man, I wish my dad was still around.
I got really little species.
He would have loved this.
Leopard.
It's got a really long barrel.
Mm-hmm.
I bet it was accurate.
Hmm. It has bolt-on armor panels. I'll bet that's to keep the armor panels on.
I wonder. At least you're starting to see a lot more angled. Like the later you get, you're starting to see a lot more angled armor. I wonder how much his collection is worth.
Rather a lot, judging by what I'm seeing. Oh, hey, British tanks.
The British had some fascinating tanks. He invented one of the most brilliant mine busters of the war.
Okay.
Imagine a radial drum that attaches to the front of it. I don't know how they powered it, but it spun and it had big old chains on it.
Okay.
And so you attach this radial drum that's about as wide as the tank, and it has all these chains on it, and it flips them and it hits the ground with all the chains.
And so it's going to trigger every mine it comes
It's
across.
going to blow every mine it comes across, and they're going
Way
to
ahead
hit
of the
they're going
tri-
they're
the
going to hit
tank.
the chains, and the chains are just going to flop. And yeah, he had maybe a dozen or more different fascinating things that he glued to the front of tanks. There weren't a lot of them manufactured because the British did not have the manufacturing capability. And he was responsible for almost everything interesting strapped to the front of a tank, except for the hedge cutter. That was an American.
Yep.
And we don't even know what the name of the American was that invented it. They just, somebody in one of the American engineers put one on the front of or somebody who had the capability to do so, stuck one on the front of an American tank. Some lieutenant saw it and said, "We're putting them on everything." He ran it up the chain of command, they put them on everything, and that was when they were fighting through the through the hedgerows. Because some of those hedges had been around for hundreds, if not thousands of years, and a properly done hedge is better than a wall. And they were so wide, there were footpaths in the middle of them.
This is adorable. Like, I'm sure that thing would hurt, but that is adorable.
Remember what I was saying about anti-troop?
Yeah. I'm gonna bet the Sherman was a little bit later in the war.
It was effective in the Pacific Theater.
Because anything bigger would sink. The ground is too soft there.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And there was a lot, the Japanese didn't have a lot of tanks. I don't remember the Japanese having any tanks, but that could be my memory.
At the very least, they wouldn't have had the redundancy levels. My understanding of military tech like this is that you spend so much time and effort investing in it, even after it is hypothetically obsolete, it's still going to work under a lot of circumstances. It's just not going to be able to compete with the next gen. But if you take, I don't know, something like this against quote unquote small arms fire, you're still gonna be fine. Is this gonna be as good as a modern tank? No. Is it still a decent piece of engineering overall? Yes.
Here's an interesting comparison. Compare the widths of American tanks.
Huh.
You're going to see in many cases, American tank widths are dictated by American rail gauge widths. How else are we gonna move them except by train? They're heavy.
And slow.
If you tried to drive them down the highway, they'd ruin the highway.
The M3 Grant.
Uh-huh.
Also,
I
to
think
any
I've seen
take
one of those
experts that
fired.
I have ticked off in this entire thing, I assume that
Correct
I
us in the
have
comments.
loose knowledge at best and correct me. I'm curious to know the accurate facts.
I wish they put the year deployed on here.
Fair.
I mean, look at the size of this engine.
Yeah.
I think I've test driven a car that size.
I believe it. You've driven some funky stuff.
I'm wondering, I bet that engine weighs more than my car.
Probably.
And my car goes faster. Water cooled.
Only tank in the history of man to have a positive kill ratio against a Tiger 1 tank, which is when the Celerity Comet tank shot an unaware Tiger 1 in the flank.
Yup, that's how you do it.
Ooh, this tank comes with a cross section.
No, it's a restoration. This is the one that took out the Tiger tank.
Oh, now that's
Dang.
cool. How in the world did this guy get a hold of all these tanks? I wish he was here. So that, like, I want to hear his stories about tanks and why he thinks tanks are cool. Aside from the fact they're
This
cool.
guy definitely has some connections. I'm not sure who, but he's got connections. So we were talking about how the Russians would keep their ammo in the same compartment as their guys. So you hit this with a depleted uranium round, hot metal goes spraying everywhere, sets off your own munitions, and all of a sudden the top, this whole bit just goes pooey! The Russians decided to update their tank compartments.
They went way up in the air. It's not like they just kind of went, boop. They flew.
I mean, you put that much
Place
explosive...
video from the time period here.
Yeah, we'll
And by
probably
time
try to
period,
find
I mean
some.
the Gulf War.
This is cool. Like, I don't know enough to know all of why this is awesome. I know enough to know that this guy has to have some connections or be watching the right places to be able to get all of this.
This is epic and cool.
So this is their defense juice, which is carrot, orange, lemon, grapefruit, and ginger.
And I'm gonna try it with suspicion.
Turtle One ordered this. I am mildly concerned for her sanity.
That's actually a whole lot better than I would have thought.
Okay. Although after this, I'm not going to be particularly concerned for her health. That is very grapefruit forward.
But you can taste the carrot in it.
But you can
carrot
taste the
saves
carrot,
it.
and it all balances out nicely.
And the ginger doesn't sock you in the teeth. I was worried about the ginger punch.
I like grapefruit.
You should give it a sip.
Have fun with that.
Okay.
Enjoy yourself. Have a sip. Do we have a thumbs up, thumbs down? Very happy face, and yeah, very happy face that's going to be finishing that.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoy that.
And this is the Phoenix smoothie as a smoothie bowl.
And this is the what did I
Rockin'
order?
Robin.
Rockin' Robin as a smoothie. So the smoothie bowl, they basically make it into
Almost an
nice cream.
Yeah.
Is what they called it,
It's a non-dairy ice cream-like treat
with a granola on top.
with a granola and all the fruit, or many of the fruits that are in it on top, in this gorgeous bowl. I'd do this again. The granola's nice with it. I like the fruit. It has only stuff in it that I like, so that's a good place to start.
So there you go. And then I samples. That's pleasant.
I like it. Again, only stuff that I like.
It is a banana mango thing that is very mild.
Can I try it?
Yeah. I know banana's not your jam. It is very much banana facing, but it's the flavors of it are surprisingly tame.
Yeah, it's surprisingly mild. It would be fantastic on a hot day. Like that would be a really good cooler on a hot day.
I'm gonna have all of this because it's honestly really good.
I think I'm gonna eat mine and be very happy.
I hope you enjoy yours.
plan
I
on
hope you enjoy yours. And I'm gonna enjoy this.
Thanks for watching.